haven't done a King's Thought of the Day in a very long time. This one's a little different, and the topic that I want to talk about is, regret. Mistakes, regret, growth, leverage, and moving forward. I would say every business owner who's successful in life has made mistakes or has failed. But the question is, after you fail, where do you go from there? The way that people perceive you, the way your family perceives you, the way your friends perceive you, the way you perceive yourself. How do you bounce back from zero? How do you bounce back from falling flat on your face? How do you bounce back from losing everything? That is the $1 million question. Excuse me, that's the $1 billion question. With a B. What I have learned and what I am learning is you have to ask yourself why you're in the position that you're in now. And I've said this before. You have to ask yourself, why did you take the risk in the first place? Were you in dire straits? Or were you trying to achieve greatness? Or is there something wrong with you? I've always had a philosophy that when you have no other means of survival, then I condone certain types of behavior. But when you don't have means of survival, meaning like if you don't have the need or the necessity to do certain things or to take it to a certain level, then there may be just something wrong with you. I'm going to dumb this down. If a homeless person steals to survive, then I don't really think much of it because he's homeless and he has no other means of survival. It's another thing when you steal for sport. That means there's something fucking wrong with you. You don't know how to turn it off. So getting back to what I was originally saying is, you got to ask yourself fundamentally, why were you doing what you were doing in the first place? Was this your window out? Or are you doing it because there's something fucking wrong with you? So you can't beat yourself up over taking chances. The difference between winners and losers is the winner never quits. The loser quits. So you fall off the building and you smack yourself, flat on your face. What do? Do you go back and cry? Or do you get up and you're like, assess the damage. Damage control. What did you learn? That's the thing. The question is whatever it is you're going through, did you learn something? Or are you going to play the victim? Can you reassess and figure out what you did wrong and improve it and try again? That's one chapter. The second chapter is, and this is kind of the most, this is the pendulum, is the mindset. It's not the physical, it's the mental. The mindset of, okay, what do I do now? I gotta start back from zero. and apply whatever techniques or whatever it was that caused me to fail. You know, or apply the techniques of what I learned when I failed the last time to not fail again. And if I fail again, I don't make the same mistake twice. So you're always reapplying new techniques to get you to the target goal. The mental part, like I was saying before, is how people perceive you and how you perceive yourself. The worst thing you can do when you're building back from nothing is to play the fucking victim. You have to assess the damage. You have to assess yourself and ask yourself, why the fuck was I doing what I was doing in the first place? What got me into this position? Like the guy stealing the loaf of bread. What got me into this position in the first place? You know? So I got no other means to survive, so I gotta steal this loaf of bread. You know, judge me later. That's okay. But just keep in mind, you're not always going to be stealing. You're not always going to be stealing loaves of bread in order to get by. Eventually, you know, the sun will come out and the sun will shine again. But the worst thing, I guess, the trap, this is kind of the most important thing, there's a trap that a lot of people fall into, including myself, you know, is you start doubting yourself, or people start doubting you, people lose faith in you, and then you lose faith in yourself. You got to remind yourself why you got involved in this shit in the first place. You know, why did you start the war? Why are we in this battle? We got this battle to fucking win. We didn't get this battle to fucking lose. So don't beat yourself up. You know what I'm saying? The worst thing you could ever do is continue to punish yourself for a mistake or for a risk that you took in order for greatness. You see what I'm saying? You took a risk to achieve greatness. You didn't take a chance because you got a problem. You took a chance because you wanted to be better in life. You weren't happy with where you were. It's like, you know what? I'm going to take a risk. And I'm going to invest in myself. I'm going to bet on myself to be great. Most people fail. So when you fail, what do? Do you lose faith in yourself, and the people around you lose faith in yourself? Or the people around you all of a sudden lose faith in you? That's called fair weather. That shit ain't real, dude. So you have to be able to assess your surroundings. So if people stop fucking with you because you believed in yourself and you took a risk, that means they were never with you in the first place. They were never with you. And if they're only around you whenever you take risks and win, the first time you lose, I want you to pay very close attention to how they treat you when you lose. That's very telling. And the worst, now I'm going to get to the point. The worst situation you could ever be in is you put your hat back on and you go that way, or you take it off and you run. And you tuck your tail. These same people, you know, you can't allow people to leverage you when you're bouncing back. You can't allow your family to leverage you. You can't allow your family to shame you. You can't allow your friends to leverage you. You can't allow your friends to shame you. You can't allow your colleagues to, you know, to leverage you. And you definitely can't allow your colleagues to shame you. So, like I'm saying, it's all mental. You're in this middle ground. And what makes or breaks you is, you know, the way you feel about yourself. You got to ask yourself, why the fuck did I get involved in this shit? I took a chance and I failed. That's okay. But you got to be able to You can't worry about what people think of you. And you can't worry about people trying to leverage you or try to take advantage of you when you're doing bad. You know what I'm saying? Don't forget that. Don't ever allow anybody to fucking leverage you with hope or try to allow you with false promises when you're doing bad, when you're trying to build back and try to become great again. And you can apply that. If the shoe fits, then you can apply it. But that is very applicable in so many different aspects, where you have family, they may promise you things. You have family, they may tell you things. You have friends that may promise you things. You have friends that may tell you things. You have colleagues that will promise you things. You have colleagues that will tell you things. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to differentiate the smoke from the mirrors and weed out the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody means well, but they don't want to see you do well. You're always in this shit alone. Never forget that. You're in this motherfucker alone. When you're doing well, they all come back. But when you're doing bad, you are the lone wolf. So, when you're recovering, how you feel about yourself is paramount. Okay? You got to remind yourself, I took a chance to be great, and I failed. But I can't worry about what people think of me. I can't worry about perceptions. I can't worry about any of that bullshit. And more importantly, can't allow people to leverage you. To leverage you with hope or leverage you with false promises to help build you back. You got to do it by yourself. You got to do it by yourself. You are on your own. And you have to be able to stomach that. You are in this motherfucker alone. People mean well, but they can't deliver. Family means well, but they can't deliver. Friends mean well, but they can't deliver. That's okay. But don't have those false expectations. Don't have false hope in people that are going to throw an anchor out for you or throw a line out for you. You're in this bitch alone. You have to be able to, you have to philosophically understand that I'm in this motherfucker alone. There's nobody there who's going to throw you a lifeline. You got to figure it out on your own. It's okay. But you will not get to the next level in life until you conquer your trauma. And this is that trauma that I'm talking about. This trauma is, you will not get to chapter 3 or chapter 4 or chapter 12 until you conquer chapter 11 or chapter 2 or chapter 1. Because you have to conquer it, and you cannot play the victim. It is nobody's fault. Nobody else in the world's fault that you are in the position that you're in. You made the choice. You took the gamble. Now you got to deal with the consequences. It's not their job to fucking clean it up for you. So people may mean well, or they may say well, or they may promise well, but you're in this bitch alone. The trap is you cannot allow people to leverage you when you're doing bad, or leverage you when you're philosophically in the wrong fundamental mindset, because you will never grow. Okay? You got to figure it out on your own. People mean well, but you can't have any false expectations or any false hope in other people when you are digging yourself out of your hole. Don't allow people to leverage you with hope or false hope. Bet that. You know what I'm saying? To get you out of whatever bind that you're in. You know, because then that's the worst, I'm trying to think of the right word. That's like the worst excuse, and it burns. That's the worst like setback. Well, so-and-so promised me this, and this is the reason why I'm in this position now. No. Or so-and-so, promised me this job, and this is the reason why I'm in whatever. No. No. You know what I'm saying? That is the worst setback ever, to sit there and blame other people for the reason why, for the lack of your growth. You got to figure that shit out on your own. Now, granted, if they deliver and they kind of help, they are the partial conduit to get you from point A, B, and C, great. But I don't have those expectations. Those are shit expectations. You got to do it on your own. You got to do it on your own. You know, so you have to have the mindset that like I'm in this bitch by myself, and I got to figure it out on my own. And the worst thing you could do is you have these resentments. That's the word. Because you are depending on other people to bail you out, or you're depending on other people for this job, or you're depending on other people to kind of clean up your fucking mess. That's not their job. That's your problem. That's your job. So you can't sit there and worry and always play the fucking victim. You know? So if they don't come through, does that make you a failure? No. It's not their problem to clean up your mess. You got to fundamentally figure that shit out on your own and don't play the victim. You know? But don't sit there and put yourself in that position to mind fuck yourself, which will, you know, prevent you from growing. It prevents your growth. It stunts your growth. You know what I mean? So, you took a chance, you failed. You got to figure out how to you took a chance and you failed for greatness. Cool. You got to just sit there and figure out where you fucked up, start over, apply new fundamentals, and apply what you learned when you failed to get to the destination. And hopefully you achieve growth, you achieve wealth, and you achieve success. And how you grade success is in the eyes of the beholder. Food for thought. Love it.